everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're gonna continue talking about our Shiny and mixing it up with HTML and CSS. We're gonna pick up where we left off in the previous video. We had these two slider and chart here and a little bit of text. We're gonna add more text. I'm gonna show you 3 or 4 ways that you can use to add elements to your page, and of course we're not going to cover everything, but as much as possible. In the future videos I'll show you more advanced stuff, but for now we're just going to focus on basic HTML and CSS stuff. We're going to change the font color, font size, and also the actual font of this page, adding images, adding buttons, and then we're gonna also make sure that this whole page is responsive, meaning if I look at it on a mobile device, you can see how this chart kind of moved underneath this slider, which by the way is obviously what we're getting from our Shiny. And so as you slide this, you'll see that the image changes, the chart over here changes. So we're gonna talk about all these things, and I'm gonna show you some details of how you can make changes based on your own taste, and kind of make your Shiny apps look more like an actual website. And then hopefully by the end of this video you have learned a lot of things that you can use in your daily work. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so this is the code that we had at the end of the previous video. So I have my Shiny library imported here, and then we have our UI with a fluid page, and also my server over here, which is basically what you get from creating a new R Shiny project. So if you had done here, like over here, if you go to file and then if you do new project over here, I'm going to save it for now. And then what it would ask you to do is to select a new directory here, and then you would select a Shiny application over here and just create a folder for that, and that's all. Mostly what we have here, especially the functions inside the server function, and also what we have in the I believe maybe title, then the sidebar layout and main panel, they're all coming from the actual process that we just saw. And then we in the previous video, we added some styling, and also we added this head tag over here to bring that styles file to our Shiny app, this R script over here. And if you remember, we have a www folder, and that's where we have our styles as CSS. Also, we're gonna use an image in this video, so that's also where your images are supposed to be placed, whatever image that you use for your Shiny application. So let's go back up over here. So this is what I have, and then if you look at our preview of the website, this is what we had. We changed the color of this text, chart bars over here, and also we did some with this slider over here. So this is how we had the code in the previous video. Now what we're gonna do is to add more to this video, and so for that, let's get started. Okay, as I mentioned in the introduction of this video, there are a few ways that you can add elements to your Shiny application. Here you see one of them. As you can see, it's basically using tags $, and then use the HTML element. So what we are seeing here, also adding a tags $link will add the link tag inside the element tag. And if you look at the inspect, basically DevTools here, and inspect this page, you'll see like in the head section right over here, we now have the link with the rel of style sheet and href of styles.css. This is how it will be translated to actual HTML code. So we can actually keep adding to this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually use my own font, which I'm going to get from Google. So if you go to fonts.google.com, you'll find a lot of fonts there. You can pick whatever you like. Right now I'm going to look for Roboto, and yes, right here. So you can click on the font, and then you'll see like different thickness, and also like if it's italic or just like regular. You can go ahead and select whichever ones that you want. Right now I want the regular one over here, and also maybe the bold 700. So as you keep adding these, you'll see this little sidebar pop up. You'll see that right now I have Roboto, regular, and bold, and then it will show you a link over here which you will need to use in your HTML. Now what we're gonna do over here is we need to change this HTML format into what we see here, like what we've added before. So to do that, I'm going to actually grab a little code that I have over here, so I don't want to type. And by the way, I will post this code to GitHub, and I'll share the link to that repo in the description box below this video, so make sure go check that out so you'll have the code also. But basically what we have here, if you look at the HTML code over here, you'll see there are 3 links. One is this one, you see the opening and closing tag. Then I have another one here, opening and closing tag, and a third one over here, right here. So we need to bring all of them. So for rel and for href, we've seen what we did for style sheet, so we're gonna do the same. Basically we'll have tags head and tags $link, because this is gonna reside in my head. And as you can see here, copy the code into the head of your HTML, so we know it's gonna go in my head. And then also each of these are one link element. So for rel, for the first 2 we have pre-connect, as you can see here, this one and this one. Then for href we have this first one and then this second one. So this probably, I believe this is gonna be the same for you guys as well, whatever font you select. And then this will be different, the last one. So this one, the style sheet, I have it already here. And then the href is gonna be different for you guys depending on font and the font sizes you select. So as you can see here, my href over here, I have Roboto 400 and 700, as you can see here, and I have just copied it over here. Okay, so now I'm gonna save it, but what we'll see here, if I refresh the page, I should see if I'm inside the head section here. Let me actually make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it better. Inside head over here, if you scroll towards the bottom, you'll see that you have this link right here. That's the styles that we already had. Then we've added this one, and this one. And as you can see, this is exactly what we were supposed to have over here. So we have these 3 link tags, and then we have exactly like that over here. There is this cross origin property over here that we can ignore for now. It's gonna work fine. So what we need to do next, as you can see over here, move this, you will need to add the font family to your whatever element that you want to apply the font to. So I'm going to apply the font to my body element. So I'm gonna go to styles over here. You can target the body element, but just saying body element is like the whole the element that has basically are your elements in the page. So that's the body element, and I want to have that font, so you can just paste it over here. So I have body, that font, and I have pasted it over here. Save it, and then if I refresh it, you saw something change over here. If you don't see the change, make sure you check your code. It matches what I have here, and if it matches and it still doesn't show the change, you might want to hot reload. So if you click and hold on this, or if you do well, you can click on hot reload over here, or in Mac, as you can see, it's like Shift Command R. In Windows, you could do Control F5 to hot reload your page, and I'm obviously on Chrome right now, so that's what we have here. And now if I click on this guy over here and then hover over this, you can see in the little pop-up that like the third line we have H2 color, and third line is font. You see it's 30 pixel Roboto, so you can see that it is applied. And if you click on body element over here, you should also see that the font family is applied to body element over here. So now that looks good. Let's go back to our app. So we have right now added our font to the page, and that's how you can do anything like any other font as well. Just go back to fonts.google.com, or if you have any other font from anywhere else, you can basically use the same method. So we're gonna call this HTML. This is our first method, and we're gonna say HTML using our shiny tags over here. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is this title page. As you can see, this title page, which says my first shiny app, is appearing here and also here. So the way it's appearing up here is because with the title page kind of like element here, we are adding that title to our head. So again, looking at head here, we have this title, my first shiny app, but it's also adding it to our body. So we don't want this to be here, we just want it to have to be the title. So to do that, we can actually move that also as a tag element to our head, and then as we saw over here, it's a title tag, so inside our head, and then we have a title over here. So that's how we do it. Head, we have a title, and let's do like our title is gonna be this, whatever you want it to be for your website. And now if I just comment this out, let's do comment this out. Now I have commented out title panel over here, and if I refresh it, that's going away, but we still have like our title here. So if I go to head, you'll see my title is like whatever I added over here. Okay, and then you can have like a whatever title you want to have for the page, added as like an h1 tag or h2 tag, because with this title tag it's actually going to add it as a as this title over here, and also as the title of this page, which might not be what you want. Okay, so that was the first method, using these tags here, shiny tags. And now we're going to talk about the second method. Okay, the second method, we are going to use this with tags keyword. So what happens here is that instead of having like tags $, div tags $, p tags $, blah blah blah, we can actually do just one with tags and then open close parentheses, and like an object here we can have a div element that we want to, for example, put in the page. And now in this div element, this is kind of like a wrapper for whatever else we want to have in the page. Like for example here, I'm adding a class header, then I'm also adding the other elements inside it. So for example, I have an h1 element over here, I have a h3 element here, and I have a p tag over here, as well as an image tag. So p tag over here, image tag over here. So this is kind of like the second and third way of doing this. What's happening here is that we have this with tags, and this is going to basically just be used once, and then we don't need to repeat that anymore. So now I have this. If I save it again, you'll have the code. You can also stop the video and look at the code, but what you should see is something like this. Obviously it's not styled, so that's what we're gonna do, because right now we only have this text and then another text, p tag, and an image. And by the way, New York Times uses a lot of charts, and they actually have a lot of articles with interactive charts. They mostly use a JavaScript library called D3 for their charts and like graphs, but we can do a lot of those things with our Shiny as well. So in case you were wondering where I got this text over here, it's just coming from this post that I saw in New York Times. So nothing special. It's just like you can use dummy lorem ipsum text, but I just wanted to use something like not a dummy text here. Anyways, now we are going to style this, and one of the main reasons that we added this class over here is because we want to make it easier for us to target the elements inside this div. Because now if I inspect this div over here, you'll see it has a class of header, and we have h1, h3, and our p tag over here, and image tag. Okay, so we can go ahead and style different elements here. You could have potentially done similar thing, like added class for p, h1, and also image here. If needed, you can do that, but right now I don't need it. I can target the header, and also I'll show you how you can target like this p tag, for example, here using this header class. So let's go to our styles.css. First of all, what I want to do is to give a dark background to this whole page. So my body over here, I'm going to define a background for it. Let's see, this one. And you can use hex code for colors, or you can use RGB, or just actually like spell out black or white or red or blue, the color name over here. So right now I'm using hex color, so this is a little bit of like a dark blackish color. So if I refresh, you can see that background color. Obviously now our text doesn't look good, it's not really detectable here. So what we need to do is to go and change the color of the text. So what do we have here? We have h1 tag here, h3 tag here, and then a p tag here. So this is not the best way to do it, because you might have well, technically you're supposed to have only one of these h1, h2, h3 tags in your page, but since we are like beginners, we might like keep adding things there that technically you don't have it there. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm going to target all the h1 elements, and this will be applied to all the h1 elements in this page. If we have like multiple pages, obviously we could have multiple h1s, like one at most one in each page, but it would be better if you wanted to target specific h1s to like add a class to them, or use this header class to target it. But right now I'm just showing you how you can like apply more general styling to like whatever tag that you want to. So again, I'm gonna grab some styling from over here, my other screen. So what we have, as I mentioned, we can add color using either hex or RGB, or as you can see here, with just spelling out the color. What I have here is an RGB. This is like a pink purplish color, so that's the color text color. Since I have color, it's going to be the text color. Background will be background color. And then I'm aligning the text to left. Font weight and font size, we know what it is. And then I'm kind of forcing it to only take 50% of the width of the screen, so I don't want it to like be stretched all over the screen. So if I save it over here in the refresh, so you can see like this has now that color, and I have forced it to only take like 50%. You can see like the blue section is 50%, so that's all it can have. Then what we're gonna do, we're gonna actually target the header class here, because I want to center this thing over here. Make sure that this is not kind of like left on the left side of the screen. As you can see, like in the page over here, I will need this. So this is kind of like center. This whole text is center. So we want to do that. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this header a flex element, and you can kind of like use this playground over here inside the styles to test things. So for example, I'm gonna do display of flex over here, and then I'm gonna make this flex column, and then I'm gonna justify center and align center, and then you can see like everything is centered now. You could basically like copy this whole thing, and then in here you can do dot header, because that's our class name, and then paste the whole thing here. So I have this header over here. I just also want to change the color, for example, to white. So what I'm gonna do, just spell out white over here, so I have my color. And then I do also want to add a little bit of margin bottom to this header, because as you can see, this image is part of the header right here. So I wanted to have like a little bit of spacing between this image and this chart over here. So that's the margin button. If I save and refresh, you can see that all the changes have been reflected. The last thing I want to do is to also make this text over here, this paragraph, also 50% of the screen width. So the way we can grab this paragraph, since we don't have any like class name assigned to it, we could like target the p tag, but we might have more p tags in one page here, so we need to like target this specific p. And the way to do that is to use this method of calling the parent element and then that element. So the parent element to p is header, so I'm gonna be like dot header, then p tag, and then whatever p tag that I have inside the header class, I want to apply whatever I'm about to write here too. And this, make sure there's a space here. You could do the greater than sign here. That also is like actually how it's supposed to be, but you don't have to type that out. This means, hey, header is my parent, and then kind of this is a child selector. But like I said, just the space is enough. And now for the p here, I'm also gonna have a width of 50%, and I'm gonna apply font size as well, 24 pixel over here. And let's refresh here. Now you can see that it's changed. Now if I hover over, if I click on this and then hover over, you'll see like in this pop-up in thingy that the color is white and my font is 24 pixels. So that's being applied. And also you can see like I am only occupying kind of like 50% middle of the whole screen. You can see it if I close it better, so you see that. And then next, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna actually target this image also and give it a little bit of like a round shape. And we're gonna do it the same way as we did with the p tag over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna copy. So again, you can either have this greater than sign or just space over here. With border radius of 50%, we make sure that our element is like turned into a circle, so you can see that's what's happening here. So now we have our text, everything kind of like styled. And let's move on to another method that we can actually use to add more elements in the page. And we actually can see actually the third method that I have in mind, and that's using like our shiny elements, like specific built-in elements kinda. And that would be like the sidebar layout, for example, or main panel. And let's see what these really are. Alright, so the third method that we have here, as I briefly mentioned, is using the rshiny built-in elements. Kinda, I say built-in because like these are mostly what we use for like kind of giving like a dashboard kind of feel to our website. And like the elements, the actual charts, the slider, all these things that we have in the page, which we are getting from rshiny. You can see, for example, I have the sidebar layout here and my main panel. And if we go take a look, sidebar layout is where this thing is actually placed in. So if I inspect this element, you'll see that what we are doing is basically having a bootstrap column of 4 and 8. So that's what's happening. My sidebar layout is like a column 4, and then we have like our form in here, and then I have a column 8, which is my chart over here, which is my main panel. And we've talked about this in previous videos. If you don't know, go check it out, what Bootstrap is, what are columns, and all those things. So I'll also put links to the other videos on this top right corner, so make sure go check it out. This is what's happening. Basically, we are like typing main panel here, but behind the scenes we are actually the R Shiny is actually converting these into Bootstrap columns. The last method that we're going to talk about in this video, how you can add HTML element to your R Shiny application, is actually using the HTML tag. You can type HTML as you can see here, and then inside parentheses and double quotes or single quote, whatever, however you have structured your code so far, you can add HTML element, actual HTML code in here. So you can see I have a div tag, opening, closing, have my class name. Keep in mind, since I'm using double quotes for the whole thing, for the class names or for href over here, I'm using single quotes. So that's important. If you use single quotes around the whole thing, you would need to use double quotes inside. And what I'm doing here is that I have a class element, I have a div element here with this class name, and I am putting a button in here. And all it does, it is basically pointing to the Late Night Coders community, and then I'm adding a couple classes here, and the text is joined today. So let's just see how it looks like without doing any styling. If I refresh over here, you'll see this join today here, and it's already styled, and the reason is because of the two classes that I added here, btn-primary. These two are Bootstrap classes. So if you go to the Bootstrap website and then look for buttons, let's see right here, you see that we have this button primary, which is gonna be like a blue background, white color, and also with like a border radius kind of assigned to this surrounding div of this background of it actually. So we have that here, it's right here. So now we could have added anything else that we wanted. Like I could go ahead and add another div over here, image, any other HTML element. So that's how we can do it, just like writing pure HTML. And it's probably the best way if you are familiar with HTML and you just want to type your HTML, don't want to worry about like doing it with tags or things like that. This is gonna be like the way to go. So I have this here, and now in my styles.css I'm going to style it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm going to grab a piece of code over here that I have, and I'm targeting the my button class. So that's the div element wrapping this anchor tag over here. So I'm gonna save this. All I have is like a font weight, font size. I'm setting the display to flex and making it center of the screen, and giving it a little bit of margin top and bottom so that it's not right below this chart over here. Let's reload, and there you go. So I have 30 pixel margin up top over here and 30 pixel at the bottom, and then this is for right and left, which is 0. We don't need because it's center and it's a good size. So that's good. Let's see what else we have. Let me double check. I think I have everything over here. This H3 element, we probably didn't do anything for it. Yeah. So for the H3, I'm actually going to change this H2 to H3, and then I am going to change the color as well. So I have a color of kind of like greenish, and then I'm aligning text to left as well, similar to what I have for these guys. But since it's centered right now, it's not gonna be like to the left, since we have like this header is a justify and align item of center. This is gonna be centered. If this text grows, then it will be aligned to the left, like these two up here and this one. Okay, so it seems like everything is already looking good, and we've styled everything. The last thing we're going to talk about is making sure this is kind of responsive. Right now the way we have it is almost responsive. So if I go to like mobile screen, you see that the charts are good, the button is good, the image is good. This text looks a little weird. We want to make sure that it's because the way we had it is just occupying 50% of the whole width. We want to change this. When we have smaller screens, we want to extend it to occupy the whole screen. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Alright, so we are going to talk about media queries. It's a concept in CSS and basically web development, HTML, CSS. When you want to target, for example, specific screen sizes, or like you want to target screen types like a touch screen or let's say a TV screen, you can use these media queries. And the way you use it, and the way I'm going to use it for this video, is targeting the screen size. Once like my screen size is smaller than the amount that I define, I want to make some changes to the previous styling that we had for the larger screens. So here, for example, for this text, I have a styling that applies to it and makes it only stretch for 50% of the screen. What I want to do is to make it a stretch like use as much as possible space, as much space as possible in this screen. For example, if the screen width is less than 960 pixels. So that's what we're gonna do, and it's really easy. All you need to do, as they have on their website, like in the developer.mozilla.org, which is like the website that you want to go and check like a lot of concepts of web development. It's all there. I'll put a link to this also in the description box below. And so what we want to have, we want to do add media, and then say, hey, if my max width is 960 pixels, for example, use the whole screen. If the width is bigger than 960, just use 50%. And we've talked about this also in another video about Bootstrap and grid breakpoints, the Bootstrap layout. And the reason I'm mentioning it here is because I want to stick to the breakpoints that they have. I'm going to use the max width of 991.98 here, so you can basically copy it, and then at the end of your code you can paste it over here, close, open and close curly brackets, and target whatever you want to change the styling of in this max screen size. So if you want to make this H1 stretch all the way and this P stretch all the way, if my screen size, screen width is less than 992 pixels, then you should target those elements here. And so it's as easy as just grabbing those two elements. I have H1 and then I have my P, which is a child of this header element over here. So those are the ones that up here I have the width of 50% for. You can see here and here. So I'm saying if my screen width is less than 992 pixels, let's make the width for these two elements 100%, so it will stretch. Let's save it, and then if I refresh over here, you see now it's stretched. Why? Because if you look up here, you'll see that my width is like 807, 802, 3, and so this is less than 992, so I expect it to stretch, the text over here to stretch. If I hit 992, which is about here, you can see like it changes from 100% to 50%. That's how we want it to be. So let's do a quick check. This is my large screen, and then what I do is, as I make the screen smaller, you'll see that at some point this moves down, and that's because we talked about it. They are columns, and then the column, the way it works is that if, like, for example, we have SM here, if it's smaller, if it's the size of the screen is smaller than the SM size, which is, I believe, over here like 700 or something, it will push this one underneath that one. So here, yeah, that's like 770 or 67, whatever that number was. Yeah, 67 or 68. So that's why we had these rows columns, and that's how Boots are shiny actually, with the sidebar layout and main panel does it. So when we get smaller, see this moves down here, now it's occupying the whole screen, and then as we keep shrinking it down, give it a second, it will shrink down, and this also looks fine. The smallest size of like the width of mobile, I guess it never goes below like 360 or 350 pixels, so it looks good. You could have clicked on this little toggle device also, and you can make it like landscape, portrait. You can change device types here to see how it looks like in different devices. For example, this is iPad mini, and it looks fine. So it's also responsive, and that's what we want to make sure when we make websites. Alright, I hope you enjoyed the video, and also you learned a lot of things. Make sure to go check out the community over here, Late Night Coders community. Join the community, and there you will have different topics about like new developers, data science. You can join, like follow those topics, you can ask questions, start talking to each other. So just go ahead and do this. It's gonna be beneficial to everyone, I promise. If you liked the video, please make sure to hit the like button below, and then subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn the notification bell on as well. I'll be posting more and more videos in the coming weeks and months, so we're gonna talk a lot about different things. Alright, Thanks a lot, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.